now being joined by Jayant Krishna from New Delhi. He's a senior fellow at Center for Strategic and International Studies. Welcome to WION.
A pleasure.
Now, Mr. Krishna, Dr. Singh was an economist, a politician, and he played a crucial role for modern India, from economic liberalization to US nuclear deal. What would rank to you as his greatest achievement?
See, I would think that, the economic reforms and the liberalization process that he led in the year 1991, those were the most transformative reforms in any area ever undertaken in the history of independent India in the last 77 years. So he has left a footprint, which India would respect and fondly remember him for a very, very long time. And prior to those reforms, if we look at Indian economy used to grow at what they used to call at that point of time, the Gandhian, rate of growth, the GDP used to grow. And ever since in last 32 years, 33 years of economic reforms, the average GDP growth has been almost, close to 7%. So which is really commendable. No other politician has done something as transformative as that. And I remember before my, working in the government, when I was with the Tata Group, and TCS to be precise, and a lot of international clients, who used to come to India and we used to go abroad to meet them. And they would say, wow, what kind of leaders you have. You have one of the best economists anywhere in the world as your prime minister and one of the best scientists the world has seen as your president. What they meant was Dr. APJ Kalam. So I think, India has seen such times also. And look at his entire career was completely based on merit, not anybody's recommendations. He didn't know anybody in the powers that be, and the kind of roles that he has had: the principal economic advisor, the vice chairman, planning commission, the finance secretary, the RBI governor, the finance minister, and eventually the prime minister. So people today talk about the lateral entry, into the government, and people are also critical. But if there was no lateral entry, Dr. Manmohan Singh, kind of a person of his competence, of his intellect, would never have come in public life in our country. So I think it's a very, very transformative, and I think and even as the prime minister, the rate the economy used to grow earlier. I remember in the year 2008 economic crisis, the global crisis. The world leaders used to reach out to Dr. Manmohan Singh to have his views, because India could keep itself isolated from the onslaught of the crisis of the year 2008. And that was because the country was led by a very, very competent economist as the prime minister. So I have very, very high, whenever I have few occasions that I've interacted with him when he was the prime minister and later, he left such an impact on me by way of, how do I describe, his intellect, his humility, and above all, his integrity. Nobody, even in the opposition, has ever been able to raise a finger against him, looking at his ethical conduct and very, very high standards of value-based politics that he pursued all his life.
Right, Mr. Krishna. Dr. Singh, like you also mentioned, you owned many offices, from the Prime Minister, FM, to the RBI Governor. Like you also mentioned, you have met Dr. Singh quite a few times during his Prime Ministership. Any experiences or incident that you want to share with us, or any lasting impact that Dr. Singh has had on you?
See, those were the times when the country was reforming its skill development ecosystem, and I was still with the Tata Group in a quasi secondment. I was working closely on various reforms, and earlier when Dr. C.K. Prahlad of the Michigan, from Michigan, he came and, under an initiative called India at 75. And he was invited by Dr. Manmohan Singh to evangelize as to what kind of what kind of country we would like to see when independent India becomes 75-year-old in the year 2022. So that's where my association started. And later, when the former CEO of TCS, of the Tata Group, became the advisor to Dr. Manmohan Singh, given a cabinet minister's rank to steer the country's skill development sector, I saw Dr. Manmohan Singh's support, to reforming the system, be it the ratification by the Union Cabinet of the National Skills Qualification Framework, the approval to the amendments in the Apprenticeship Act. Of course, the amendments happened in Mr. Modi's regime, early part of his regime, but the entire blueprint was done in Dr. Manmohan Singh's regime. The formation of National Skill Development Corporation as a public-private partnership to undertake the role what is typically with the government, the formation of sector skill councils. I think his reform centricity was so rampant in whatever initiative he took. That is my personal. Otherwise, if you look at the country as a whole, the right to information, the right to education, the Manrega, a lot of transformative things he brought about because of his reform centricity, which extended even beyond the economic reforms. I think country would remember him with a lot of respect, and as I said, one of the most transformative reforms in any sector which have happened in the last 77 years have been the economic reforms of the 1991, and which changed the course of our economy for all times to come.
Right, Mr. Krishna. Dr. Singh was absolutely a man of few words, but a man who had depth. Thank you so much for joining us, WION, with your thoughts on Dr. Manmohan Singh's demise.